Well, we now have 959,000 homes for sale in the US, and 69 of the top 200 US housing markets have now shifted in favor of buyers versus sellers. But the big question is, where will the shift happen next? That's what we're going to look at today on the Housing Nerd. You don't want to miss today's live because we're diving deep into inventory data, the latest from realtor.com and Resi Club Analytics, because folks, inventory, supply and demand, that drives home prices. Little else matters when you're looking at where home prices may travel next. And that's why we take a deep look at inventory. So welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jason Ferrier. I am a realtor and investor in Central Ohio. Been doing it now for 7 years. If you came to my channel hoping for me to tell you you should run out and buy a home, you came to the wrong channel. If you also came to my channel hoping I would tell you not to buy a home because the market's never been so toxic and you should wait till the fraud, greed, and corruption are out of the market to buy, you also came to the wrong channel, because I'm not going to tell you either of those. I'm going to give you the data and let you make your own decision on whether or not you want to invest in real estate or buy a home for your family or sell a home or rent a place. Either one doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you buy a home or not. I just want to give you the data you need to make that decision. So that's what the channel is about. Hopefully that helps you. All right, so let me bring up the latest data from Resi Club Analytics. Folks, if you are at all interested in the housing market, if you're a prospective buyer, seller, investor, realtor, certainly a realtor, and you're not subscribed to Resi Club Analytics, to Lance Lambert's data, you are missing out big time. He's got tons of free info. You can get the free info anytime. He has tons of it on his website, ResiClubAnalytics.com. The link's in my description below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, I don't put links in there at all. You have to check it out on YouTube. And why are you watching stuff on Facebook anyway? YouTube's where it's at, folks. But anyway, you should subscribe to Lance's newsletter because it's free. If you want the paid subscription, which I use, I think now it's like around $300 a year, but it is like packed with more info than you could ever want in a in housing market data. He has the best housing market data and analytics, bar none, across the industry. So, and he's an Ohio guy, so you can't beat that, right? Anyway, let's get to it. So 69 housing markets where higher inventory is tipping the scale towards buyers. And what they're going to do here is look at pre-pandemic levels of inventory, and then they're going to look at the inventory now, and I'll show you that in a minute on a fun map here. This is what it kind of looks like here. This is what we're going to look for in a second. This is all about we'll go metro by metro and look at where inventory has grown the most since the pandemic. But first, I'm going to just dive into his report. Whoops, wrong one. Too many tabs open, Jay. We're going to dive into his article. And then I'd love to know what you think about this. Comment below. So we'll look at the article, then we're going to look at these maps. And then you can actually put in the comments like, hey, look at this city, look at that city, and I'll dive into the city and we'll kind of look at the inventory data. All right, so how this article starts out: during the pandemic housing boom, and actually, let me do this. Let me move this. There we go. Make it a little bigger for you. During the pandemic housing boom, from summer 2020 to spring of 2022, the number of active homes for sale in most housing markets plummeted as home buyer demand quickly absorbed almost everything that came up for sale. No kidding, right? Fast forward to the current housing market, and places where active inventory has rebounded to 2019 levels are the very places where home buyers hold the most power. That doesn't mean all of these places are full-blown buyers markets, but buyers have certainly gained power relative to a few years ago. So when you take a look at the inventory and you think about 2019, then you go, All right, now what's the inventory like? If there's more inventory now than we had in 2019 in a certain spot, buyers are probably going to have more negotiating power. Sellers are probably going to have less leverage. That's just how it works. At the end of April 2025, national active inventory for sale was still 16% below 2019 levels across the nation if you take all the aggregate numbers. However, more and more regional markets are surpassing that threshold. At the end of January, just at the end of January, 41 of the top 200 markets were above pre-pandemic levels of inventory. At the end of February, 44 of the major 200 markets were back above 2019 levels. At the end of March 2025, 58 of these 200 major markets were above pre-pandemic levels. And now, end of April, 69 of the top 200 of the 200 largest markets are above pre-pandemic levels. And Resi Club expects that count will continue to rise this year. So you can see, I mean, we only have, like right now, he highlights this, 16%. I don't know why that's coming up. Whoop. What is this? Oh, it's my highlighter thing. How do I get that? Okay. Huh. Oh, man. No. Hang on, folks. All right. Sorry about that. He highlights that 16%. We're down 16% compared to 2019 levels, but we're growing the number of markets that are above those pre-pandemic levels of inventory. So you can kind of see here, he has a chart that shows us what the metros are that have gained more inventory compared to 2019. Now, a lot of these folks are in, a lot of these areas are in Florida, right? But some aren't, right? Like I see Memphis on here. Memphis, Tennessee's on here, right? But a lot of them are in Florida, but there are some Alabamas, Colorado, Texas. Maybe I spoke too soon. Washington is on here. Washington State is on here. Who else? Colorado, Louisiana, New Orleans is on here. And you can see over here on the right-hand side, the level of inventory compared to 2019. I mean, look at this. In Killeen, Temple, Texas, 104% more homes for sale than 2019. 104% more. What's going on in Temple, Texas? I mean, geez. Punta Gorda, Florida, 96% more homes for sale. Colorado Springs, Colorado, 76% more. You get the point, right? We'll look at the map in a second. I'm just going to continue with the article. Many of the softest housing markets where home buyers have gained leverage are located in the Gulf Coast and Mountain West regions. These areas were among the nation's top pandemic boom towns, having experienced significant home price growth during the pandemic housing boom, which stretched housing fundamentals far beyond local income levels. When pandemic-fueled domestic migration slowed and mortgage rates spiked, markets like Cape Coral, Florida, San Antonio, Texas, faced challenges as they had to rely on local incomes to sustain frothy home prices. That's pretty logical, right? But comment and tell me what you think. If you live in one of these areas, one of these pandemic boom towns, I know some of you have or do live in those areas. I've seen the comments before, like a bunch of people rushed in all excited, right, to buy a home in, I guess, San Antonio or Cape Coral, Florida. And then, you know, that demand slowed. And then the locals were like, shoot, we can't pay these prices. And then those prices dropped. The housing market softening in these areas was further accelerated by the abundance of a new home supply in the pipeline across the Sun Belt. Builders in these regions are often willing to reduce prices or make other affordability adjustments to maintain sales. These adjustments in new construction market also create a cooling effect on the resale market. As some buyers who might have opted for existing homes as some buyers who might have opted for an existing home shift their focus to new homes where deals are still available. yeah, like a lot of buyers right now are seeing opportunities with new homes. And I think new home sales last month were like a lot higher than what a lot of people had thought they would be. Why? Well, because you can get a lower interest rate many times with a new home builder, and they have incentives that current home, sellers like resellers, on existing homes can't compete with. That's just a fact. I will also say, and this is a shout out to another YouTuber, Travis at Real Estate Mindset, for like 3 years now. I think he's been on YouTube like 3 years. He's been touting and beating the table that, hey, pounding the table, I think is the term, that new home construction will drive price decline of existing homes. Now, it's kind of logical, right? But I think a lot of his predictions on that were kind of falling on deaf ears because the resale market was going nuts. But he saw it coming, and he did a lot of trips throughout the US where he would even take a drone up in the air and show like the whole layout of all the new homes for sale. And many think that there are a lot more new homes for sale than they have in the data. I'm not saying there aren't. I bet there has always been the case with new home builders. But in any case, I think he's done a great job, Travis at Real Estate Mindset. I'm sure you know his channel. If you don't, you should check it out. He does a great job in talking about new home construction. That's something I don't do a great job at. And I need to probably focus on that more, and I plan to here in the Columbus area. But he's done a great job at that. So anyway, in contrast, many Northeast and Midwest markets were less resilient on pandemic migration and have less new home construction in progress. That's true. Here in the Midwest, like at least in Columbus, there's not a lot of new construction. I mean, people here, I think, especially realtors here in Central Ohio, think there's a lot of new construction because, you just kind of see what's in front of you. But if you go to like, and you guys know this, you go out to like Florida, down south, into the Sun Belt, and then out west, like in Colorado, and then certainly in California, Arizona, Las Vegas, the new home construction, like the developments are massive. They're not even close to what you see here. In Columbus, there's like, you see like 10 houses being built in a development. But you go out west and there's like, it looks like there's thousands. It looks like Sim City. You ever played the game Sim City? That's what it looks like. It's like just sprawling construction. So in the Midwest, there's just not a lot of that. With lower exposure to that domestic migration pullback demand shock, because people during the housing boom or during the pandemic boom aren't buying second homes in Columbus, Ohio. Nobody's doing that. If they did, I'd be shocked, right? And fewer builders doing big affordability adjustments to move product, active inventory in these Midwestern and Northeast regions has remained relatively tight, and seeing home sellers retain more power relative to their peers in the Gulf and Mountain West regions. All right, so let's look at these maps. Let's do this. Let's do this one. Let's do the 1 year first. So I'm going to do two maps. First map is the 1 year change in active housing inventory. The second map will be active listings compared to 2019 levels. Now, this, again, I want to know what you think about all this. If you have a metro you want me to look at quickly today, I'll take a look at it. I've got a short list here, and I'll get to that. Get to those requests. I'll also get to comments here. Maybe check comments now and see what's going on. Hey, good morning. Peace, love, happiness. I like that dog. I like that dog. That dog's awesome. I just hit the like button. Nobody likes a freeloader. That's awesome. Yeah, don't be a freeloader. Right. I got that from Seinfeld. Kramer. I love show and content. Thanks for your time. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. I mean, I really value the fact that you guys come on here and talk to me, because it's a lonely world as a YouTuber sometimes. Chris Weisel. Good morning, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Homes still selling fast for homes over $1 million at Buckeye Lake. Oh, Buckeye Lake. Yeah, this guy's right. Thank you, Jim. This guy's right. Like, I showed a house at Buckeye Lake, and people don't know. People watching this and wherever you are, like, Buckeye Lake, what the heck is that? Buckeye Lake is like if you're driving and there's just cornfields in Ohio, literally just cornfields, and then you see a sign that says Buckeye Lake, and you're like, what's that? And then you make a right and you go, and there's a big lake, and it's pretty big. Like for this area, it's big, but it's really like the only well, there's a couple other lake towns, but for our area in Central Ohio, Buckeye Lake's like really cool. And so I was out there showing houses to a buyer, and talking to a couple agents who basically own the market in Buckeye Lake, and they said sales are off the hook in Buckeye Lake, Ohio. Yeah, over $1 million. Like, we're talking people buying $1 million homes, $2 million homes, $3 million homes. There's an island that was for sale. I don't think it's sold. That was for $5 million, an island that was for sale. So yeah, you're right, Jim. Thank you for that. Stuntfish, what's up? Okay, I'm in the Northwest. A house has been listed since January. They bought it in 2021 for 125 over asking. Holy cow. Now they have it listed for a $20,000 loss. I mean, that's their fault, right? You make money when you buy real estate, not when you sell it. You'll figure that out if you ever buy a flip, overpay for a flip home or a rental, and you're like, how do I make this work? Well, sometimes you can't if you overpay. Boy, are you in the market for a home? I don't know how expensive that home is, Kay, but like if they bought it 125 over asking, now it's listed for a $20,000 loss, and it's been listed since January, I'm making a crazy offer on that. If I'm looking for a house like that, I have no idea. But if I was, I'd, make an insane offer. Something really low. You wanted me to look at Reno, Nevada, is that right? I'm guessing that's what you're saying. Okay, I'll write that one down. Thanks for the suggestion. North Carolina market, any news specifically? North Carolina. All right, I'll write that one down. Michigan Word Girl. I love the data-driven content. New viewer here, been watching Travis at Real Estate Mindset for years. Cool. Glad to have you, Michigan. And it's no big deal that you're in Michigan and I'm in Ohio. No big deal at all. Love Michigan people. Owning an island is super cool. An island in a small lake in Central Ohio takes a little glamour away, though. Yeah, it does. It does. Especially like in January when it's freezing. Well, in November, December, it's really cold. Then January and February when it's frozen, but not frozen enough to do anything on the lake. Yeah, it's like, this isn't Florida, right? Ohio's not Florida. So it's not, yeah, you get my point. Let me see what else. I got a couple more. Oh, Cincinnati. And then Chicago. All right. This was a lot easier. Only had a couple viewers because I only had a few cities to do, but now there's a bunch of people, so it's like, oh my gosh, that's cool though. I've been watching the last few months. Thanks for your content. We're looking at buying a single family home in Anchorage, Alaska. That's a cool one to look at. I never look at Anchorage, Alaska. Never look at Alaska. I'm sure you're used to that. Nobody looks at Ohio either, by the way. I live in Baltimore, but DC is nearby. Per the Bright MLS here, listings have skyrocketed in many suburban counties in Maryland and Virginia. Many federal jobs are being cut, and there are many more sellers. Yeah, those are definitely markets to keep an eye on. Maryland, DC. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go to this map, and we're going to see what we see when we see it. So first, we'll do the 1 year change. Let me think about this. Let me see what the data he has. Okay. So we can do the 1-year map, and it shows us the listings all the way back to 2017. Pretty cool. Doesn't show the percentage difference, but it shows you the numbers. So we can kind of kill two birds with one stone on this one. All right. 1-year change in active housing inventory for sale. And so the green, dark green means a larger change. If it gets to brown, that means fewer homes for sale. And the circle size is the number of active listings. So bigger circle, more active listings, darker green, more growth of listings year over year. That's how this map works. So let me, I'm going to do Ohio first because I'm in Ohio and somebody already requested Cincinnati. And this is by metro. I can do county level, but honestly, like some of the counties out there, I don't know. So it's easier to do metro. So Columbus, got Columbus, Ohio. Year over year shift between April 2024 and April 2025. 37.9% more listings for sale. 37.9. So definitely more inventory in CBUS. And you can see here the numbers, right? Where it, yeah, you can see here the numbers where it is now and where it was. So right now we've got 2,921 homes for sale. Back in 2019, we had 3,244 homes for sale. So we're getting closer to that pre-pandemic level. And then look at 2017, 3,549 homes for sale. This is what I'm seeing in a lot of markets. I'm seeing the number of homes for sale in like 2017 and then 2018 and 2019. A lot of markets were declining in active inventory before the pandemic. I mean, there's like this notion out there. Let me double check something. Whoops. There's this notion out there that like if we can just get back to pre-pandemic, life will be good. Well, I was in real estate before the pandemic hit, and prices in Columbus were going up and inventory was going down before the pandemic hit. So like my point is, before the pandemic, it wasn't great either in many spots. But in any case, all right, so you've got a shift here in Columbus. We've got more inventory, but we're still not above pre-pandemic levels. Let me do Cincinnati. Cincinnati, Ohio. They're up 24%, not as much as Columbus. 2,793 homes for sale back in 2019, 4,935 homes for sale. You see what I mean? Like, look at this. In April of 2017, Cincinnati had nearly 6,000 homes for sale. Then in 2018, they had 4,900 homes for sale. And then 2019, about the same amount. But then 2020, it dropped to 3,500. And then look where it went. In 2022, only 1,400 homes for sale. Yikes. And now 2,700 homes. So they have certainly a lot less inventory, 2,700 compared to 4,900. That's like 2,000. They have 2,000 fewer homes for sale in Cincinnati compared to pre-pandemic. So I wouldn't expect prices in Columbus or Cincinnati to crash anytime soon. The other thing is you have to look at, you really need to look at a very local basis once you see these numbers to understand where the inventory is. Is it above the median or below the median price? If you're seeing a lot of growth above the median home price, like here, $500,000 homes in Columbus, then that's not the same as having inventory grow for affordable homes. So it doesn't mean there's more affordable homes on the market, it just means there's more homes on the market. Okay. Let's do Cleveland because we're in Ohio. What do we got? 21% more homes for sale versus last year. We've got 2,730 homes back in the pandemic. Look at that, 5,700 homes. So again, inventory was dropping before the pandemic in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. 6,900 homes in 2017, then 5,600, then 5,778. But I mean, Cleveland's like approximately half of what they had back before the pandemic. Crazy, right? They haven't really gained much inventory at all. I mean, their low spot was 2,030 homes for sale. No, 2,003 homes for sale, and now 2,700 homes. So they haven't gained much at all. There's a lot of inventory being snatched up there by investors. Yeah, I know there's a lot of inventory being purchased by investors. I mean, the median home price in Cleveland's like, I think it's around 200 grand. So investors know that. All right, let's do the next market. Let me go to DC. What am I doing here? Okay. Washington, Arlington, Alexandria. That's how this is grouped by a metro. Look at that. Whoever asked for this, you're dead on. Instincts are correct. 70%. I mean, well, we shouldn't round up on a 0.3, but why not? I mean, like 69, 70% growth of active listings year over year in DC, Virginia, DC, Maryland, Alexandria area, kind of a big area, but yeah, look at this. I mean, compared to 2019, you're still below pre-pandemic levels. Back in 2019, you had 13,613 homes for sale. Now you have 11,932 homes for sale. So fewer homes than before the pandemic, but yeah, I mean, you're growing fast. Look at the low spot, 6,050 homes for sale. So you've almost doubled that since 2022. But again, same thing as Ohio. Look at the active inventory was dropping before the pandemic, when there was no like COVID, right? So there was no migration. It was like the normal housing market. I've heard people say it over and over again on YouTube. Well, before the pandemic, like the housing market wasn't doing well. Well, inventory was dropping in Ohio and so far in Washington, D.C. area. Inventory dropping tells me that there are more buyers than sellers. So I kind of think, well, it looks like the inventory was going down before the pandemic. Now, we didn't have the federal job cuts like we do now, so that's definitely a difference. But still, that's what you're looking at with inventory in Washington, D.C. I hope that helped. Definitely more homes for sale. If I see this in my market, like, I mean, I am seeing it in Columbus somewhat, but a huge explosion of inventory year over year. As a buyer, man, I'm making some serious disrespectful offers, like offers where the seller gets the offer and they're like, yikes, they cringe. And the selling agent's like angry. Then you know you got something, right? You know you got something then. Okay, let's do the next metro. North Carolina. Somebody asked for North Carolina. Well, I'll just do a couple different areas of North Carolina. Let's do Raleigh. Raleigh, North Carolina. Look at this, 58%. 58. Wow. 4,663 homes for sale. Back in 2019, you had 4,762 homes for sale. So, we found a metro where more inventory. No, I'm sorry. My math's wrong. I got excited. Just barely less inventory than before the pandemic. But look at the low point, 857 homes for sale in 2022. What? You've got 4x the number of homes for sale now. 4x in Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's look at Charlotte. Look at Charlotte here. 8,088 homes for sale. A shift of 53% year over year. Just barely under the 2019 level. Look at 2019, 8,119 homes for sale. So you're just basically at that pre-pandemic level. And like you guys know this, I'm sure, you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Buyer demand overall in the US has dropped dramatically. So because it's dropped dramatically, buyer demand, unless something changes fundamentally with, with interest rates, I would suspect prices are going to start to come down in some of these markets. By the way, if you're looking for a home right now in some of these markets that have a ton of inventory year over year, like a huge explosion, and you've been like one of those folks that's waiting on a housing market crash, or you're like, well, the market's it's filled with too much greed, fraud, and corruption. You know, one day I'll get mine once it's all, you know, out of the system. Make an offer 30% under where it is where the home is listed. In other words, if you think home prices are going to drop 30% in a market, don't wait for everybody else to see the drop for them to get in and compete with you. Just go in and make an offer now 30% under the market price. Not saying it's going to get accepted, but if you do that enough and you find the right seller, it will get accepted in a market where there's a lot of inventory growth. For a long time, sellers have played on the emotion of buyers with the fear of missing out and the lack of inventory in a market. Well, do the same thing to a seller. If a seller is seen on the nightly news, or they're watching, you know, YouTube or headlines or whatever, and they see, oh, inventory's exploded in my market, and they're getting all nervous about inventory and the fact that they may not be able to sell their home, now the tables have turned. Play on that emotion. Give them a low offer. They may be thinking this is the only offer I'm going to get. I don't know. But throw a line in the water, see what you get. But don't wait for things out of your control, or don't wait to try to time the bottom of the market. If you think that market's going to drop 40% where you are, make an offer that's 40% under the list price. See what happens. Anyway, so Charlotte, you got a little bit less inventory than 2019, but it's not, you know, it's not, it's certainly growing. Your inventory is growing. So I would think that's going to keep going this spring and summer. We're in the spring selling season and pending sales are low. So generally speaking, across the US. So I would think you're going to gain more inventory. Let me look at one other area in North Carolina. Oops, that's Virginia. Sorry. Let me see. Let me zoom in a little bit more here. Let's do, well, you know what? Let's look at Asheville, because Asheville got hammered in that hurricane. 68% up year over year. Not quite as much inventory as pre-pandemic, but it's close. These North Carolina cities are getting close to 2019 levels. Getting close. Look at this. Waynesville, North Carolina. Up 73%. Again, getting close, but not there with inventory compared to pre-pandemic, but you've got a lot more inventory than last year. Morehead City, North Carolina. Only up 33%. Still a good amount of growth, though. 575 homes, still below pre-pandemic levels. One of these days, we're going to find one that's above pre-pandemic. When we go out west, we will. And if we go further south. Thought we found one. Here we go. Jacksonville, North Carolina. 907 homes for sale. 16.9% shift year over year. That's it, year over year. But look, 2019, whoops. Oh, my bad. Come on, Jay. In 2019, you had 812 homes for sale. Now you've got 907. So we found a market where we've got more homes for sale versus pre-pandemic. That's North Carolina. That is Cincinnati. Chicago. Whoops. Let me do Chicago. Chi-town. Year over year shift in Chicago, 11.4. So, yeah, look at this. This is I mean, I call myself the housing nerd. because I think this data is fascinating. 12,919 homes for sale right now. Look back in 2019, 33,000, almost 34,000 homes for sale. You're not even close to before, pre-pandemic levels. Not even close. Like, I mean, and you haven't really gained any in the last few years. It's actually dropped over the last, I mean, look at this. You had 16,000 homes for sale in 2021, then 12,000 homes for sale, then 11,000 homes for sale. Then it went down again to 11,593. Then it's gone up, but gone up barely, barely. And I know there's a couple of viewers on the channel from Chicago, and they tell me that inventory there is incredibly tight, incredibly difficult. So in a market like this, I mean, you can make a disrespectful offer. There's no law against it, but is it going to get accepted? I mean, every market's very hyper local, but if I looked at this overall and said, am I going to get my offer accepted? Chances are probably not. Sellers probably still have a lot of control there. So it's market dependent. In a market like Chicago, to find a deal, you're going to have to look off market. I mean, I would always look off market. I don't care what market you're in. Even if inventory is exploding, I'd still look off market. But in Chicago, you most have to get something off market in order to get some type of deal, and probably something that's, distressed, that needs a lot of work. My guess is. I am seeing a lot of multifamily deals in Chicago, though, come up for sale. I know the taxes there are insane. That may be why. Okay, that's Chicago. Boy, that's a different market. Reno, Nevada is next. So let's go out west. I'll come out east again if somebody has one. I'm sure you do. Reno, Nevada. Isn't that the biggest little city in the world? Isn't that what they call it? Is that the right one? I've been to Reno a few times. Reno, Nevada. Inventory shift 50% higher than last year. So you got more inventory by 50%. That's a good amount. 1,400 homes for sale right now. Back during the 1458, you're off 10 homes. So back in 2019, you had 1,468 homes for sale. The difference of 10 homes. So basically back to pre-pandemic levels. I would expect some softening of prices there. I would. At some point. I mean, your bottom was, what's that? 2021? You had a bottom of 646 listings. So you've definitely grown since then. And I'm guessing there's a lot of new construction there. That's a guess. It seems like there's a lot all over Nevada. Let's look at Vegas while we're in Nevada. Look at that, 60% more homes for sale. April 2025, 8,581 homes for sale. Back in 2019, 9,264 homes for sale. So not quite there, but getting closer. Certainly getting closer. Look at this, though. Look at 2018. You went from 7,000 homes in 2017 down to 4,800 homes in 2018. I wonder if like interest rates dropped then or something. I don't know. I don't know my interest rate history enough, I guess. But something happened because a bunch of people bought homes that summer or spring. Or builders completed a bunch of homes the next year. I don't know. And then, yeah, you drop down where a lot of people did right after the pandemic started. And then now you're at 8,581 homes for sale. Wow. And a lot of new construction in Vegas, I would think, right? Let's go up to Alaska. That one's got me intrigued. Can I get Alaska? I've got to. Oh, it's down here. It's on a different map, Jay. Oops. Let me see. Anchorage, Alaska. I mean, I'm really curious. Like, I'm gonna make a star here because I'm gonna tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow I do a Redfin update. It'll be tomorrow's Thursday, so I'll do a Redfin update on prices and a lot of other trends of the housing market. You don't want to miss that either. It'll give you a chance for me to look at some metros, but I'm going to look at Anchorage as far as prices. Today, we're just looking at inventory, but tomorrow I'll look at prices too. And we'll see what Anchorage has in store for us. So Anchorage, Alaska, only a 16% growth in active inventory. 640 active listings. Look at pre-pandemic, 1,600 homes for sale. You're way low compared to pre-pandemic, way low. So I'm really curious on how much homes are in Anchorage, Alaska. It would seem like they're expensive. I'm just guessing they're expensive because of the remoteness of the landscape and supplies and everything like that, of trying to get building materials in there. And I imagine there's a lot of like maintenance you have to do on the home before winter comes, right? Got a few months to like batten down the hatches. That's just a guess though. Huh, fascinating. So not a lot of inventory growth in Anchorage, Alaska. All right, let me go to the comments. Maybe somebody else has another one. Oh, let's see. Oh, Washington State. Yep, somebody asked for Washington. Washington State, put that down. I did Cincinnati. I got that one. I'll do Washington. I did Cincinnati. Do you ever watch lumber futures to try to see what the markets might do? Stuntfish. I don't watch lumber futures, but the person I do watch is the Uneducated Economist. That dude has some of the best content out there, and he's a real guy. Like that guy is. He and his videos are so simple, no fancy slides or anything like that. And he works in the lumber industry, so check him out because he actually sells retail lumber, and he has his finger on the pulse of the lumber industry. And right now, and I watch him all the time, right now he's saying there is no buyer traffic for lumber, not like zero. He said people are not buying lumber, and that means they're not building. So the lumber mills have shut down, according to him, because there's no demand for lumber. That tells me builders are not building. It also tells me that come 5 years from now, you're going to be in a supply, maybe a supply shortage situation again, because they've shut the valves off. A lot of people I think they really hope, wish, want, and pray that home builders will go out of business. But a lot of home builders now are shutting down dialing off dialing back, according to the Uneducated Economist, dialing back production because they don't want, they don't want to be overburdened with finished houses. So I would check him out, Uneducated Economist. But I don't watch lumber futures. Chicago, we did that one. That one's crazy. There's no inventory there. Been watching you last few minutes. Saying your content. We're looking to buy. Oh, I already did this one. Yeah, Anchorage, Alaska. Yep, did that. That's great. Did that one. Surprisingly more expensive in Alaska than I would have thought. I'm sure it is. We'll look at that tomorrow. I'll look at that. I'd like to see you compare Columbus versus Franklin County, Cleveland versus Cuyahoga, Cincy versus Hamilton. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Chris. I'll do an Ohio only update. How about that? I'll do an Ohio only video. Maybe not a live, but I'll do one in the next week or so. And that's a great way to compare it. Wow. Yeah, wow. Early 2000. Toronto was crazy. I don't have any Toronto. I don't have international information. Sorry. South Carolina. All right, got that one. We'll do that one. South Kakalaki. See what's up there. Oh, Wilmington. Okay. Everything is crashing. People are suffering. Okay. Well, yeah, there are definitely people suffering. Asheville. Okay, well, I did Asheville, North Carolina. But you want me to look at South Carolina. A lot of turnover in Asheville. Asheville's a beautiful city. I know it got wrecked from that hurricane, though. Oh, is that what you're talking about? In South Carolina, or I'm sorry, North Carolina? You could be. It's bad there, no doubt. South Carolina. All the it's all the boomers that thought moving south at the same time would be somehow cheaper than just retiring in their paid off homes in the northern states they're from. Maybe that could be the case. Could be the case. I'm just looking for more areas you want me to look at. Any other suggestions? Alaska is weird. Transition the past couple of weeks. Sorry, I'm reading this. I know I'm reading this under my breath. Any other ones? Any other ones? South Carolina, Fort Mill. Okay, let me look at South Carolina. And I've got some other ones to look at too. All right, let's look at South Carolina. Myrtle Beach. My sister lives in Myrtle Beach. Been there many times. 23% growth in inventory in Myrtle Beach. 5,825 homes for sale now. Back in 2019, look at this. 5,156 homes for sale. That's a difference of basically rough math, 700 homes. Definitely more inventory in Myrtle Beach, no doubt. And there's a lot of building there. I know there are a ton of new construction, a ton. A lot of great tax incentives too. I think if you're like retired or you're over a certain age and your primary residence is in Myrtle Beach or it's in South Carolina, I think there's like no property taxes, or it's really, really low, like a couple $100 a year. I think. Don't quote me on that, but that's what my sister told me. So yeah, I like Myrtle Beach. Sometimes it gets a bad rap, but I love it. It's a cool area. That's Myrtle Beach. Let's look at, you wanted to look at Fort Mill. I don't know where that is. Spartanburg. Where's Fort Mill? I don't know where that is. Sometimes they don't give us all the metros we want, right? They're just kind of the metros where the MLSs are. But let's look at this. Columbia, South Carolina. 2,286 homes right now. Back in 2019, 3,014 homes. So less inventory than pre-pandemic, but a growth of 20% year over year. So you have fewer homes than you did before the pandemic, but you certainly have more homes than you did last year, but not a ton. That inventory growth isn't crazy like it was in some other areas. Let me look at, Washington State. I keep forgetting Washington. Somebody wanted Washington State. Let's go to Seattle. And then we'll look at some others, Washington. Look at that, 50% growth in Seattle. 50%. I used to live here too. Well, Tacoma, which isn't Seattle. Not by far. 6,526 homes for sale right now. Back before the pandemic, look at this, 5,900 homes. So, and I mean, the year before that, look at 2018, you had 3,900 homes, then 3,500 homes. So you've got like almost double what you had in 2017, and you have certainly about 1,000 more homes than you did in 2019. I would expect prices there to definitely soften. I mean, I think the person who requested this had the story of the individual, I guess, in their neighborhood trying to sell a home when they paid $125,000 over asking. I mean, if that's like a $5 million home, well, maybe that could make sense if it's 125 over asking. But if it's like a $700,000 home, wow. And now they're trying to sell it and they can't. You're going to see more of that probably. Yikes. Yikes. Let's look at another place in Washington. Where else can we look? Bellingham, Washington. A lot of oil refineries up here. 60% growth in listings. Only 606 listings. Back before the pandemic, 562. More inventory than pre-pandemic. I would expect prices there to suffer too. Wenatchee, Washington. Yakima, Washington. What do we got there? Same thing. Growth of active inventory, more inventory than 2019. Spokane, Washington. Everything in Washington, you I guess have more inventory in every market, it looks like, comparatively to 2019. Aberdeen, Washington, 458. Back before the pandemic, 298 homes. I mean, there's more inventory there everywhere. Centralia, Washington, same thing, right? Yeah. Wow. Okay. Washington is suffering with inventory. Not suffering. I would say sellers are suffering potentially there, but buyers are maybe winning more or setting the table to win. Again, a market like Washington, where I see all that inventory growth, shoot, man. And if you think home prices are going to crash 40%, make your offer 40% less than asking. Like, if that's where you think it's going to go, just make the offer, because you're going to run into a seller who's like, "Ah, the sky's falling. Maybe I should take this offer." Plus, it's a good exercise to do, because once you do it enough and you kind of, you get into the habit of doing it, then as prices do start to come down more and more, you'll be able to find a great opportunity, because you'll be used to making those offers. You'll be good at it. And if your realtor gives you, if the buying agent you're working with refuses to do that work, then find a new agent. And because as an agent, I can select the client I work with. I don't have to. I mean, if somebody calls me and says, "I want to make a bunch of offers under asking, Jason," if I don't want to work with them, if I don't have enough time, if I have too many clients at that time, I can tell them no, refer them to somebody else. So if you find somebody who's willing to work with you to do this work, great. If your current realtor won't do it, find a new realtor. There's definitely not a shortage of them, right? I think somebody told me today there's 8,000 realtors in Columbus, in Central Ohio. Feels like a lot. Let's look at Portland while we're up in the Northwest. 6,363 homes for sale. That's a growth of 30%. Before the pandemic, 6,833 homes for sale. So fewer homes than the pandemic. Okay, that surprises me. I would think the Northwest was all struggling, but it's not. Well, I can't say that, but Portland doesn't. I mean, the growth there isn't like it is in Seattle. And while we're at it, guys, I guess I have to look at California. San Fran, 42% growth in active listings year over year, 6,200 active listings. Look at 2019, 4,892 active listings now, 6,200. Definitely more active homes for sale in San Fran and Oakland. Sacramento, 4,100 active listings. Shout out to Jason Walter. He lives in Sacktown. 2019 levels, 4,492 active listings. So not quite as many, but definitely growing, up 50% year over year. Let's look at LA. How's LA doing? LA, 16,377. Wow. Before the pandemic, 20,000. I know a realtor in Los Angeles. What's up, AJ? Hope you're doing well. But you have fewer active listings by a lot in Los Angeles. That surprises me. I would think the inventory there is higher, but it's not. You still have fewer active listings versus 2019. But you do have more versus 2018 and even more versus 2017. But it is up 54% year over year. So inventory there is definitely growing. Let's look at San Diego. Let's see. 5,000 homes for sale. 2019, 6,400 homes for sale, fewer listings. But it's up 70% year over year. Geez. That's a lot of inventory growth in 1 year. What do we have? Riverside. Lots of new construction in Riverside County or Riverside area. 13,000 homes for sale. Pre-pandemic, 14.6 thousand homes for sale, 14.5, whatever. I'm sorry, 14.7 homes, 14.7 thousand homes for sale. Anyway, I can get lost in this data, as you can tell. There's a lot of it. But That's kind of what's going on there. Let's look at what's up with Dallas. 26,000 homes for sale in Dallas. 2019, 21,000 homes for sale. Wow, a lot more. 5,000 more homes in Dallas, Texas. Definitely see some pain there with pricing. Houston, 30,000 homes for sale in Houston. 2019, 28,000 homes for sale. More, more listings. You've got like this is like a what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A 9-year high. Is that right? Yeah, 9-year high of active listings. What about Dallas? Yeah, a 9-year high in Dallas too. Everybody's favorite crash city, Austin. Where's Austin? It's like right here, right? Yeah. 11,000 homes for sale in Austin back in 2019. 7,000 homes for sale. Jeez. And that's a 9-year high too. 9-year high in all of Texas. All right. Let me look at Florida real quick. Tampa, 19,000 homes for sale back in 2019. 14,000 homes for sale. That's a 9-year high too. Miami, 51,000 homes for sale. That's a 9-year high and more than you had in 2019. Jeez. So areas like that, I would think you're going to continue to see pricing pain. You are. I mean, it's easy to tell after doing this exercise. Hang on, just let me look at New York. 31,000 homes for sale in New York. Yeah, look at 2019 in New York City. 61,000 back in 2019, now 31,000. And the growth year over year, 3.2%. So you can easily see like that Northeast area, the Midwest area, not as much inventory growth, but the South and the West, certainly a lot more inventory growth. Certainly. Okay, boy, that was a lot of info. 113 people watching. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Don't be a freeloader. What do we got? West coast of Florida, Hudson Beach Estates. Every single home was for sale in the last year. West coast of Florida. Let's see. Where is west coast of Florida? Well, I know where the west coast is, but yeah. Okay. Well, I looked at Tampa. Oh, here's Tampa. 19,000 homes for sale in Tampa. Now in April, you had 14,000 homes for sale. That's a 4-year high. I'm sorry, a 9-year high of homes for sale. 9-year high. I mean, that's significant. We did have the pandemic. I get that, but still. Bradenton, Sarasota, Florida. 11,000 homes for sale right now. Back 2019, 8,700 homes for sale. A 9-year high. I mean, this is where I would think the pain is going to be the greatest. Let me look at. Oh, The Villages. That's a crazy documentary, by the way. There's a documentary on, it's Amazon or Hulu. I don't remember which one, about The Villages. Crazy. 763 homes for sale. It's a growth of 57%. And The Villages, by the way, is like if I'm not mistaken, this is that big retirement community. 2019, you had 399 homes for sale. Now you have 763 homes for sale. So somebody made a comment saying, hey, a bunch of boomers sold their homes in the north and moved to the south all at once. Maybe that's what happened. And then they, that's why inventory dropped to 174 homes. But then now it's spiked, either because of people passing away, maybe, unfortunately, or people going, this was a big mistake. We got to get out of here. I don't know. Jacksonville, Florida, 9,600 homes for sale. 2019, 7,800 homes for sale. A 9-year high. Yeah, 9-year. I have to count it because I'm not smart enough to just do the math, I guess. Oh, you said West Coast. Where else we got here? Punta Gorda, 32% rise in inventory year over year. 2025, you had 4,800 homes for sale. 2019, you had 24 homes for sale. Another 9-year high. All these Florida areas, Texas, 9-year high of inventory. When you look at it like that, it really puts it into perspective, right? because tomorrow I'm going to do the Redfin update where I look at a 4-week rolling average. It's a little harder to see on that graph. But when you look at this, you go, wow, 9-year high of inventory. And it's not like 9-year high in Punta Gorda by 400 homes. I mean, it's a 9-year high by a lot, by at least 1,000 homes. I mean, look back in 2021, they only had 522 homes for sale. Now you got 4,800 homes for sale. You could literally, as a buyer, I imagine, you could literally, as a buyer, just go in and make just low ball offer after low ball offer after low ball offer. And if you're a seller in one of these markets where you're seeing inventory explode, then all's not lost, hopefully. If you want to sell, or if you need to sell, like financially, you need to sell, or I guess, and if you want to sell, you're going to have to price that home right if you actually want to sell it. I mean, that's kind of what we've moved into across the country in most markets, is you still have to price the home right now. I mean, price moves homes, price sells homes. Marketing, drone flyers, Facebook ads, pictures, none of that really matters usually. Like when you get to a normal market, it comes down to price. It comes down to price. So you have to price it right. So if you're a seller, price that home right. Make sure the major systems are updated in the home or they work. So like no big gremlins, no roof problems, foundation, HVAC, plumbing, electrical problems, obviously, stuff like that. Make sure the home is clean as possible. Make sure it smells decent, and make sure it has good lighting. I would also clean up the outside. But people always ask, should I paint? What should I do? Well, you can, but make sure the major things are taken care of. The big ticket items, make sure it's cleaned up with clutter and it's actually cleaned. That doesn't cost anything to do that. And make sure the major systems are working right. All right, so that's Florida. Wow, some big carnage in Florida. I've never really wanted to buy anything in Florida, but maybe now's the time. Good grief. Man, Steven, are you going to let anybody else comment? I'm just kidding. It's all good. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Let me just look for another comment here. What about, I did Skyride. I did Northern Virginia and DC earlier. So check it out on the replay, but I did do that area, Arlington. And yeah, definitely more inventory, a lot more inventory. Not quite back to pre-pandemic levels, I think, if I remember right. Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. You are welcome. Okay. Excellent advice. Most sellers are still too greedy, though. Well, I get it. But so if you run into a seller or you're looking at your market and you're like, prices here are way too high. Or if you see a lot of sellers, you're seeing this, though you're seeing it kind of less and less now, I think. But you're seeing sellers put their home on the market and it's overpriced. They probably know it's overpriced. That's called wish pricing. That's called want to sell, not need to sell. If they want to sell a home, but they don't need to sell a home, they're not going to price it to move. They're going to price it hoping they get that 2021 price. That's probably what you're seeing. Modema Rose. But if they need to sell, you're going to see that in the number. Nobody who needs to sell is going to overprice their home for very long. If they need to sell, they're going to price it to move because they need to sell it. But if they just want to sell, then they're going to put it on the market at a higher price, then take it off the market. You see that monkey business, right? It's not really monkey business. It's just how real estate is. They'll take it off the market and then they relist it with another agent, maybe. Yeah, because that's going to help, right? It's the agent, right? That's why it's not selling. No, that's not why it's if my client wants to buy a home, I don't care who the agent is. Like, That doesn't affect the I mean, sure, you want a good one, but like if they like the home, they're just going to go after it. So the point is, like, you'll see the people that need to sell when they enter the market at a good price. You'll also see need to sell when they drop the price enough to make it a good price. But the want to sell people are just putting their home on the market, hoping it sells at a high price. And if it doesn't, they'll take it off the market, relist it again, or take it off the market, try again next year. There is still a good amount of that, but it seems like it's dwindling. I think that's why you're seeing months of supply, by the way, rise, but prices not come down yet that much nationwide, because the months of supply is going up because there's a lot of homes on the market that are sitting there for like 6 months, a year, sometimes 2 years. They may be overpriced, right? Or homes that just need a lot of work. I see that too. I'm also seeing lower price homes that are in horrible shape, but they're not priced low enough to add value to actually cash flow as an investor or do a flip. I had a listing earlier. Well, I guess, yeah, it was earlier this year. I had a listing that was on the market a while before it sold, and we had an offer because the list price, even though it was priced in an affordable price range, as an investor, it didn't make any sense at all. It was priced way too high. It finally sold to a owner occupant who was like, "Hey, I love the property, I love the location, and I want to fix it up and move into it." So if you see a lower price home that's overpriced for an investor, maybe that's a property that an owner occupant can move into. So anyway, that's just some lingo about what's going on in the local market. Let's see. Florida is a rich person's second playground, not a functioning state. I don't know. I know a lot of people that have lived in Florida or do live in Florida, and they seem to like it. Not for everybody, but there's a lot of people that really like it there. Portland, Vancouver. I did that one too. I didn't do Boise. Let me do Boise. Let's see. Boise. I did well, I lie. I didn't do Vancouver. I did Portland though. Well, I guess it's grouped together, right? In this data, it's grouped together. By the way, I'll do this one real quick. The uneducated economist I mentioned earlier, check out his channel again. Like, I don't know the guy personally, but I follow him on YouTube, and he's got great information about the economy, and he's got a take on the economy that few have, in my opinion. He lives in Astoria. This is where the Goonies are from, by the way, if you're a 80s movie buff. Astoria, Oregon. That's where he lives. Inventory up 28%, 218 active listings. 2019, they had 289 active listings, not that many homes to choose from. They got down to 63 active listings at one point. So not quite above pre-pandemic levels, but definitely some growth. Definitely some growth. Okay, you wanted me to check out Boise. Oops, let me go down a little bit. Boise City, Idaho. 2,392 active listings. 2019 levels, 2,268 active listings. So you're up about 130 active listings compared to 2019. So, and you only have a 20% growth year over year. So not as much carnage in Boise as I thought there would be. I know Boise, people seem like they were like targeted Boise as a big crash city, but you definitely have more inventory than you have the last few years. But it's not as high as I would think it would have been. Is it a 9-year high? Not a 9-year high, but it's close. It's close. Let's look at Denver. 10,300. Wow. This may be the worst one in the country as far as growth. I say worst. I shouldn't say that. That's not the right way to say it. This should be the largest difference, right? Of inventory, like the growth. Look at this, 10,000. 345 active listings right now. 2019 active listings, 6,479. I mean, you've got, that's insane. You have, it's a 9-year high, but it's like way beyond any other year. Wow. That's something else. Yeah, that's shocking. Back in 2021, you only have 2,200 homes for sale. Now you've got 10,000. I would think as a realtor there, you've got to be busy. I would think there's a lot of, there's probably some people buying because there has to be some discounts. Has to be. Like in a market like this, that's where I'm going, man, 40% under asking. You know, the trick with making those offers, by the way, is to make sure you set a maximum price. Make sure it's called your max offer amount, max offer price, whatever you want to call it there. But make sure you understand what that max offer is and don't go above that. So if you're trying to fish for a deal, set that maximum offer price and then make your offer where you would like to have it, right? But know that that maximum offer price still is a great deal for you as well. And then don't go above that. It's easy to do. It's easy to make a bid and then people are like, well, we'll meet in the middle. Forget that monkey business. If you're trying to get a deal, don't meet in the middle. But they're up 65% year over year. Denver could be like one of the biggest inventory changes in the U.S. Geez, what's up with Colorado Springs? Up 52%, 2,700 active listings. 2019, there were 1,500 active listings, a lot more active listings. It's a 9-year high as well. But, I'll have to look at the prices tomorrow when I do the Redfin update. I'll look at the prices. About Breckenridge. 578 homes. Back in 2019, 546 homes. So you do have more homes, but it's not a massive, I mean, the growth is 26% year over year. I would think just a lot of expensive homes up there. Let me just look, I'm just looking around here, a couple other ones to see what we see. Edwards. I think somebody asked me for Edwards at one point recently. 797 homes. Back in 2019, 982 homes. Fort Collins, 1,300 homes. Now, back in 2019, 1,000 homes, growth of 58% year over year. They're at a 9-year high as well. Geez. All right. One more here. Salt Lake City. A lot of people request Salt Lake. 2,700 homes. Back in 2019, 2,400 homes. And it's a 9-year high as well of active inventory. Geez. Yeah, these mountain states are taking a beating with inventory as far as growth goes, not lower inventory. But it's a change, right? Probably a welcome change for a lot of y'all compared to where it was during the pandemic when there was no inventory. Okay, let me just check one more thing and then we'll. Zane Myers. What's up, Zane? Sandusky, Ohio. Yeah, I don't know that they're going to give me that info. I could do it tomorrow, though. I'll write it down to do tomorrow during my Redfin update. Sandusky. That's right. I remember you from Sandusky. Let me see. For those that don't know, and I don't think I can find it. It's not going to be in here, man. Oh, there it is. Look. Sweet. 314,000 homes. 314 homes for sale, not 1,000. 314 homes for sale. Back during the pandemic or before the pandemic, 554 homes for sale. And that number was dropping. Look, 882 back in 2017, 2018, 630, 2019, 554, and then down, 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 down. Now you're gaining, but you're still not really close yet to pre-pandemic. You do have 21% more homes for sale. And those that don't know, Sandusky is home of Cedar Point. Some consider the best amusement park in the country, maybe one of the best in the world. But Sandusky is more of like a resort town, I guess you want to call it, as much as a resort town is in Ohio. But yeah, there's you do have more inventory, but it's not egregious compared to previous years. I know you were looking for a home, I think, like a starter home, maybe, if I remember right. So more inventory. I'd like to know, you leave a comment and tell me if how it's going up there with your house hunt. And then if you want to join us tomorrow, Zane, I'm going to do a live. It'll either be tomorrow or Friday, depending on when they release the data from Redfin. And I'll do a deep dive and I'll put Sandusky down and we'll look at prices and days on market and new listings and active inventory and pending sales and all that stuff. This is just inventory. Okay, let me go back to this and did Las Vegas. Somebody wanted, okay, Las Vegas. Vegas won Las Vegas. I did Vegas earlier. Rewind it, you'll see that. Hollywood, Florida. Hollywood, Florida. I don't think. I'll tell you what. Let me look real quick and see if we have it. And then I got a Phoenix on there. Somebody wanted Phoenix. I'll do these two, and then I'm going to wrap up, and I'll jump back on the other cities. If you have a city you want me to analyze, I'll do it on that Redfin update tomorrow. And I can go down to a smaller macro or micro level tomorrow. But let me do Phoenix and then Hollywood, Florida. Hollywood, Florida. Hollywood, Florida's over here, right? I don't even know if it's going to be on here. Is that right? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, it's on that east side, right? Near Fort Lauderdale. It just may lump it into, unfortunately, it may lump it into Miami. It looks like it is, right? Yeah, it's lumping it into Miami. So tomorrow I can dive into that area, but I did Miami earlier, so in the video. But yeah, it's lumping that whole market into one big metro. Let me do Phoenix. There we go, Phoenix. 19,981 active listings back before the pandemic, or right when it started. I'm sorry, the year before it started. 16,851. You've got a lot more inventory than you did before the pandemic. You got 33% more active inventory year over year. And you are at a 9-year high of inventory. I would think you're seeing a lot more homes for sale. A lot more. The question is, are you seeing price declines, right? Is that at some point, again, depending on what type of inventory you've got, if you've got really expensive homes for sale, but no affordable homes, the prices may not change that much because not a lot of people are buying expensive homes perhaps. And so that median is not going to change. But if you're seeing a lot of more affordable homes or mid-priced homes hit the market, then the growth of inventory is eventually going to affect prices. It just is. It will. It takes a while for that to kind of work through the system, but once it does, and then people start buying homes at lower prices, that will start to change the comparable sales in neighborhoods. That's just how it works, right? One of the big problems you've had recently, well, up until the last couple of years anyway, during the pandemic, there were so few homes for sale, comparable sales were very difficult to find. So when someone paid $100,000 over asking, it's like, well, when we're competent against other homes, if there's nothing to compete against, it made it difficult. But then when you start seeing more homes sell, especially price discovery happens, lower prices come into play, then it's easier to comp homes, and buyers start to wake up and sellers start to realize they can't get the prices they've been asking for. We're definitely at the cusp of a shift. We've already seen a shift, but we're definitely at that. It feels like you're at that mark where sellers are starting to wake up a little bit, and buyers certainly are starting to wake up. You guys are. You can tell by the comments. You're not being fooled with what's happening out there. Okay, that is my live today. Got some other work I have to do that's not fun like this, but paperwork jazz. Anyway, listen, thank you for joining me today, and I really enjoy your comments. Great discussion, great suggestions on the markets. I've got them written down here. There's a few I need to hit on tomorrow during the Redfin update, but join me. Not sure when it'll happen. Depending on when the data comes out, we'll do the the Redfin live update. And yep, we'll see you tomorrow. I'm the Housing Nerd, and I'm out. Hope you have a great day.